Hey guys, welcome back to the Gears and Tool channel. And today I reviewed the Goalzero Torch 500. And unfortunately, right after I finished my review, I needed to plug my phone in because it was getting low. So I went to plug my cell phone charger cable into the back of the battery bank like I've been doing all week during my testing. And I turned the light on and the phone is not charging. So something has died inside of this battery pack. I can still charge the battery pack, use it as a light and all that stuff, but it's no longer charging my phone. And it's not just the cable. I was just using this cable on my wall outlet. And I also tried a second cable just to make sure that it wasn't the cable. And no, the USB-A port on this battery bank is no longer functional. So big bummer there. And that issue is on top of the battery bank not charging off the solar panel if the battery is completely dead. If I have a little bit of charge left on the battery bank, it will charge off the solar panel. But if it's completely dead, it's not going to work. So kind of two issues with this light. One of them might be a design oversight, and the second one just seems like a quality issue. Now this is one of the first production runs of this light. I bought it just a couple days after it was released. Been using it for the past couple of weeks trying to get a good feel for its pros and cons. The physical light feels very sturdy, but the electronics seem to be having some issues. So anyways, I just wanted to preface my review with those comments. Again, this is a review channel. I try to be completely honest with you guys, the good and the bad. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the rest of my review that I've already filmed as is, so you can see what the potential of this light is if Goalzero can get their manufacturing straightened out. But buyer beware. Hey guys, welcome back to the Gears and Tool channel. And today we're looking at the Goalzero Torch 500, and it's a portable emergency light that has a solar panel on the back so you can charge it with the sun. It has a spotlight, an area light, and some USB ports, so it has the ability to be used as a battery bank to charge things like your cell phones and stuff like that in case of an emergency. The light is reasonably bright with a 300 lumens spotlight and a 300 lumens area light that you can set down as a workspace light or stand up as a lantern. Though I'll admit it's a little bit tall and skinny, it's easy to knock over. But in a pinch, it'll definitely get the job done. And that leads me to my first point of confusion. This light's called the Torch 500 because they say the total output of this light is 500 lumens when both lights are on. But both lights are rated at 300 lumens, which adds up to 600. So they must do a little power throttling with both lights on. I'm not quite sure how that adds up, but they say the total output of this light is 500 lumens, hence the name Torch 500. But each individual light, when on individually, puts out 300 lumens. The size and weight of this is relatively compact. We're at 8.8 inches long, 2.2 inches wide, and 1.4 inches thick. So relatively compact flashlight. Great thing for camping, throwing in the back of your car for an emergency. So a real nice form factor. I like it a little bit more than the Torch 250, which is just a little bit longer, thicker, and wider overall. And now while we have the Torch 250 out, the total lumens on this particular light were 250 lumens, so about double the output for the Torch 500. The Torch 500 is 12.5 ounces, and that's going to be a nice weight for a backpacking light, a camping light, something like that. It's going to be a little bit heavy for EDC carry or something like that, but that's not really its intended purpose. This is an emergency/camp light. By comparison, the Torch 250 came in at 14 ounces. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with the build quality. We have metal sides on this particular light, and it has these green kind of rubbery bands around it that prevent the light from sliding around when you're using it in the light mode or the solar mode. In comparison, the Torch 250 does not have any kind of rubber spots on it, so it can easily get knocked over, bumped, or it just slides around a lot more than it really should. Each end of the Torch 500 have these metal hooks that unfold and can either be used as a hook to hang from like a tree branch or something like that, or if you undo both sides, it'd be easy to hang this from a string or something like that that's hung over a picnic table for an overhead light. So I like the hooks on this. Gives for a couple convenient lighting options. And this is an advantage that this light has over the Torch 250, which only has wired hooks on one end. The other end does not. So let's take a quick look at the flashlight. I just touched on it briefly during the introduction, but there's 3 brightness modes. When you click it once, it goes into maximum brightness, which is 300 lumens. The second time is the mid, and a third time is low, or kind of the moonlight setting, if you will. The 300 lumens mode will run 7 hours, and the lowest setting, which is on now, will run up to 38 hours according to Goalzero, which is pretty impressive run times. Now the area light, the first click is 300 lumens, which is pretty bright. The second click is the mid power, and And the third click is the low power or kind of moonlight mode, which will last up to 38 hours, which not super bright, but might work good for a night light or something like that inside of a tent. So those are the various light functions of this light, how bright they are and the run times. I will be taking this light outside a little bit later in this video so you can see how far the light beam throws, how much area the aerial light works, and just how bright it really is in a garage or outdoor setting. One note is both the spotlight and the area light here are a natural yellow color, kind of like the sun. So pretty easy on the eyes. It's definitely not that harsh blue white that some LEDs have. So I really do like that the Goalzero lights tend to be a more natural color spectrum. So those are the light functions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the charging and power options with this light. So in the back of the light we have a USB-C port for charging the light up, and a USB-A port for providing power to your other electronic devices like cell phones or tablets, things like that. The USB-C port charges the light in about 4 hours. The USB-A port provides power to your electronic devices just like any other USB port that you would find around the house. This light has a 5200 milliamp hour battery in it, which means you could charge something like this iPhone about 1.5 times. Or if you're using the light while you're charging the phone, you might be able to get about 1 charge cycle. So that's the situation for conventional charging methods. Let's talk about the alternative charging method, which is the solar panel on the back of the light itself. Now, I did some poking around, and Goalzero actually does not tell you how long it takes to charge this flashlight with the solar panel, which I thought was a little odd. So I did some digging, and this solar panel is a 1.2 watt panel, which makes sense. I mean, it's a pretty small flashlight, so we can't expect this to be a 100 watt panel. So it's 1.2 watts, and the battery is 5200 milliamps. So we have a small solar panel. We know this light's going to take a while to charge, but how long? Well, I drained this flashlight battery all the way dead and took this light outside and let it sit for 8 hours under the sun. I came back and the light was not working. So apparently you can't charge this light from a completely dead state. So I don't know if that's a oversight from Goalzero or if I just have an issue with this particular light, but I would recommend not draining this light all the way dead. Maybe use the solar panel just for topping it off during the day to extend your runtime at night, but don't let this battery die all the way because it may not charge with the solar panel if you do. So if you're using this as a backup light in something like a car, once in a while, you're probably gonna wanna get this out, put it on your dashboard so it can get topped off and not ever be completely dead. So now that I discovered that this light can't be charged from complete dead, I went ahead and charged it just a little bit and then put it back outside to see how long it would take. I came back at the end of the day and it was about half full after 8 to 9 hours of charging. And it is December here in Arizona, so the days are a little bit shorter, but we do have pretty good sunlight. So I left the light out there overnight, and by the end of the next day, it was pretty much completely full. So with a 20-hour charge time off the solar panel, I think it's safe to say the solar panel is mainly there to keep the battery topped off and maybe extend the runtime of this light over a course of several days while you're camping. If you want to use this as a portable battery pack to charge things like cell phones and stuff like that, you're going to need a supplemental power source to keep this topped off. To check the battery life, all we have to do is look through the clear plastic water covering, press the power button, and we'll see a couple LEDs illuminate. There's 4 total, and each one represents 25% state of charge. All right, guys, that's enough of me yammering about this light. Let's go ahead and take it out to the garage, power it on so you can see what it can do. All right, guys, we're out here in my garage. We're going to go ahead and try the Torch 500. And here's the 300 lumen spotlight. I can see it has a very yellow color to it, which is pretty easy on the eyes to throw some pretty nice shadows. And yeah, it's just plenty bright for using out in the garage in an emergency or you know, something like that. Let's say you're trying to set up an emergency generator or something like that. You just need a little light to get the job done. So very nice. Now stepping down, this is the midpoint on the spotlight. And as you can see, the beam is not nearly as wide, but it is throwing out a pretty long distance, so no problem there, getting to the back of my garage. This is a double car garage, so it's deeper than your standard garage. And here's the low or moonlight mode, and it's pretty dim. You can't really see much past, 5 feet or so. So that's the spotlight. And here's the area light. As you can tell, it's not penetrating near as far, but for closer up things, working with your hands or something like that, is certainly going to be plenty bright. Also plenty of light to try and find things on the shelves and stuff like that. Okay, the last test we're going to do is comparing the 500 to the 250. So here's the 300 lumen spotlight off the Torch 500, and here's the spotlight off the Torch 250. So the color on the spotlight of the Torch 250 is much whiter than the Torch 500. The Torch 250 also has a smaller hotspot, but the hotspot seems to be a little bit brighter than the Torch 500, which has a larger, warmer yellow hotspot, but covers a broader area. So kind of a tough call, actually. The Torch 500 is definitely brighter, the 300 lumens light, but since the hotspot isn't as tight, it doesn't make the item you're looking at quite as bright. So that's just a comparison for you guys. I don't necessarily think that one is better than the other. They're just different, and depending on your use case scenario, one might be a better fit than the other. All right, so that's the garage test. Let's go ahead and take a look at the differences between the Torch 500 and the Torch 250, and then I'll kind of give you my overall takeaway and which one would be best for your use case scenario. So the first difference is the Torch 500 is water resistant. It has a IP67 rating, which means you can drop it into water that's 1 meter deep, and it should be just fine up to 30 minutes. The Torch 250 is not water resistant at all. So you might be able to get a real light splash on there, but if it's in heavy rain or it gets dunked, it's probably not gonna work anymore. The second major difference is the Torch 250 has a hand crank. And I really like having a hand crank on the emergency light because you never know when the light, maybe it was in storage for too long, it's died, or the emergency has lasted a little bit longer than you thought, and you need to do something like top off your phone. You can pop out the hand crank and get just a little bit of juice. Now, somewhat limited. 1 minute of cranking will give you about 2 minutes of light, but it's better than nothing. Where the Torch 500 doesn't have a hand crank at all. Now, I think they did that so they get the waterproof rating on this, which makes sense, but considering this light can't be charged if completely dead, I really wish a hand crank had been put on it. That way you could at least get it started. Another difference between these two lights is the Torch 250 has a couple red lights in it that can also be turned into an emergency beacon. That's something that the Torch 500 does not have, and I really think it should. It would have been really easy for them to put two small red LEDs there and giving it that kind of indicating backup feature. But only the Torch 250 has the blinking red lights in it, which I think would be great for kind of putting on asphalt if you have a car with a flat tire or something and you need to kind of use it as a flare of sorts. The downside is if it's raining or something like that, this light may not survive the rain. So that red light might not be as usable as you think. The charging solutions are also different on these lights. The 250 has this cord with a USB-A port on the end, so you can just plug it into any phone adapter. But the downside of this cord is I've seen a couple where the cords get ripped off because they get caught in things and stuff like that, where the USB-C charging port for the 500 is protected behind its flap, keeping it relatively safe. The last major difference I want to touch on is the Torch 500 has a 5,200 milliamp hour battery, where the Torch 250 has a 4,400 milliamp hour batteries. So 800 more milliamps on the Torch 500, which means you're going to be able to charge your phones and other devices up a little bit more fully. But since this light is brighter, it will burn through that larger battery a little bit quicker than the Torch 250. So there you guys have it. That's my review of the Torch 500 and what the differences are compared to the previous version of the Torch 250. And what's kind of my takeaway or recommendation? Well, I think these lights serve slightly different purposes. I think the fact that this light has a hand crank on it makes it a better emergency light. If it's been left in the trunk of a car or something like that for an extended period of time and it's dead and you're stuck on the side of the road at night where the solar panel is not going to help, this hand crank is going to make all the difference in a pinch. But in a camping situation, I think the Torch 500 is going to be a better light for you. It has a much brighter light on it and a larger capacity battery bank, so you can charge things like your cell phones more completely. But in an extended camping trip, this probably isn't going to be enough by itself. You're going to want to partner it up with something like the Yeti 200 or 500X, where you can hook up some bigger solar panels and then use this as a portable power bank and top it off periodically. This could also be a good battery bank for traveling, where if you get stuck at an airport or something like that, you can top off your mobile devices and you have a portable light just in case you need it. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video review. If you did, hit that like button below. It helps the channel a lot. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll first be notified when I release new videos. Cheers!